Seeing nobody, all right, we're gonna move on to then consent agenda. And before we move to consent agenda, on the action items for the bills, disregard pages 1 through 6, because you already voted those approved.
You should have the blue handout from Mary Ann. These were changes based on feedback from board members on edits to the minutes. And this will improve as we start sending them a week earlier so that you have time for bills and minutes. And especially with Tim, who's only here 2 to 3 days a week. So Mr. Walsh, like with that email at those questions,
This came today.
he really doesn't have time to get, he really wasn't in the office till Tuesday morning, so we started working on some of those.
That's fine.
Okay, do I have a motion?
One other, did we not also approve this 208.9 prior to this? Because this appears to be June 15th and June 30th bills, and I think we already approved those also. I didn't see the detail attached in here, but
The only one
I
I saw.
thought we had approved that
The last meeting.
last meeting. Because as of July 1st, we're no longer, are we not no longer
With
the?
Dr. Bonnet, did you write that last board, didn't we voted on something at that special meeting?
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm
Tim, can you
raising.
check into that then? So we'll pull the bills off, if you can check on that to make sure we pay them. All right?
I have a question, so I make sure I understand this, Tim. This one won't be as bad as the other ones.
Okay.
If we were told we approved the bills in 6/28, so they would be paid during June and be in last year's fiscal year. So all these bills that are here, although we incurred the costs during June, even the salary, whatever, are they going to go against the 2011-2012 budget, or are they going against the 2010-2011 budget?
The 93,000 on 628?
No, that one's the only one I know about. We were told we
Right.
approved that, so that would be included in last year's. For instance, if you start with the payroll, they're all June payroll dates.
That's all part of 2011.
Okay, how about the impress for 6/29?
That would also be 2011. So the only thing for 2012 is the...
So the 536,000 that we're gonna approve presumably in payments, even though the really cost for last school year, they're gonna go against this school year's budget.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to approve the budget, of the bills tonight, or do we want to wait to see if we already approved them?
I have no
I have
problem
last week's, I
approving
could tell you if we approved.
the July. I
What?
think the 93 and the 4 were the ones we had already approved, that's all I'm,
All right, so the
Suggest-
I
93,
agree. And the 615 of the 4180, which is the exact same number for 630.
okay.
What if we just pull out the 615 of the 4180, right? That
All right,
we
so pull
approved
out
that
the
last
615 and the 4180, all right? So those are the changes from that. You have this from Mary Ann, which are changes to the minutes. And as we said before, you'll get them out earlier. All right, do I have a motion?
Resolved that the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois hereby takes the following action on the listed consent agenda items. Approves minutes from the meetings held on June 14, 2011, special meeting open and closed, regular meeting
What to say?
open and closed, June 29, 2011, special meeting open and closed, and noting that on the walk-in items, the June 14, 2011 closed was amended, and the regular
Opening.
open and closed was amended,
Yeah.
and also approves the payment of bills as presented and discussed and listed in section 7.B.
That one you have to amend, don't
You got a men taking out the 93 and
you? Taking out
49.
the,
Well, that was the as discussed part.
Okay,
We discussed taking it out.
all right, do I have a second? Was that a second, Laura, or was that a?
Yeah, we'll just, wait for discussion.
All right,
I-
do we have a second? I need a second first.
Yeah, second.
Dan second.
Dan, second, all right.
I don't think for this, I think the resolution should mention the numbers that we changed for
Okay.
historical. and not just say as discussed, because we moved numbers and it's important that we know which numbers.
So Mike, can you adjust?
I'll withdraw the motion, she can make the motion.
Okay.
No, I can't make the motion.
You want
'cause
me
I
to
didn't
do it?
follow- Yes,
Why don't you
please.
do it?
All right. Resolve the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County,
Well, hold on,
Illinois.
wait, Dan, do you withdraw your
I
second?
withdraw my second.
All right.
Hereby takes the following action on the list of consent agenda items. Approves minutes from meeting held on June 14, 2011, special meeting open and closed as amended, and regular meeting open as amended and closed as amended, in the June 29, 2011 special meeting open and closed. B, approves payment for bills as presented and listed in section 7B, with the exception of the 628 payment of $93,181.85 on the bills that was approved prior, and for District 208, and for District 208.9, the exception of the 6/15/11, $4,180.23 that was approved at the prior meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Mike Welch.
and discussion, these aren't amended meeting minutes, because we've never approved these meeting minutes, so these are just
Changes.
meeting minutes that have been changed
Revised.
since we got them in our package.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't really put them in there as amended the first time around.
So we'll, Mary
So,
Ann, next
but
time we
the-
have that, make that revised, okay? All right, any discussion?
And the impress fund bills that you asked about is a listing of the checks that are farther back in the package, and the last check that we're approving was dated 6/29, so they would in fact be in last year's items, because they were paid and out the door.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
Yeah,
Mary Ann?
I have a question about one of the checks,
Sure.
just as far as
What page?
information. It's on page 16, and it's under the blanket of American Express expenditures, and a check written to it. And it notes binoculars.
Oh, I asked that question.
Page 16, did you say?
Handwritten, page 16 at the bottom.
Yeah. $419 for binoculars. Another one of those red flag questions. Shouldn't that more appropriately be in somebody's department for a rationalization of that expense, rather than blanketing it in a credit card?
Well, you can see the binoculars for $419 are posted to an account. So
Yes.
you have to know what
Know
that
the
account
account?
is to see who's it's being posted against.
Okay, so this is appropriate. Okay.
It's posted to a specific account. The first two numbers is 10, which is the education fund.
Mm-hmm.
And without any particular chart of accounts, I can't rattle off the top of my head what specific account that is or whose responsibility that is.
So could we get a chart of
It's neat
accounts
then.
We have a chart account.
Yeah, we have it.
in the front page?
Tell us what the words are?
It's something that,
Well, like the first four numbers probably give us an idea of where it goes. We know education is 10, but
18 months ago, I asked for a chart of accounts, and if you drop that in an email to Kevin and Tim, we can discuss that at the Finance Advisory Committee meeting. And if you'd also like to give us any of your ideas on how you'd like to see the layout, we'll take those under consideration. I asked 18 months ago for a chart of accounts. I asked for a chart of accounts to be posted on the board's website, so that when you're reviewing the bills, you could quickly go down and see what department, what item is, any of these items are being posted for. So you don't have to go and hunt through the actual budget.
So will the finance committee work to get that done?
I believe there's a draft out there that we can forward off to Tim and try to get that done.
Okay?
so are you saying the chart of accounts doesn't exist? That somebody said
It does.
we were given it?
Well, in your big budget,
Yeah,
each one of those line items,
Right.
for example, we
Right.
have all the English departments together.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those line items in the budget has this unique number.
Right.
Yeah.
but they're not in numerical order, so you'd have to go hunt for that particular number, because you don't know if these binoculars are for the broadcast booth up in the stadium for sports,
Ecology.
or if they're for something as one of the biology teams to see something in the distance in a tree, or whatever their purpose is. You'd have to go find that account. But you can't find that account unless you go hunt and pick for it without a chart of accounts in numerical order that can really zero you into what department and what supply equipment type category that those binoculars were posted against.
It supplies for social science.
Well, let me, since I emailed this, hopefully, besides the binoculars, I also asked, why did we pay,
What page?
on page 15, at the
Handwritten?
bottom,
Social science.
handwritten at the bottom, to Mr. Olson for the boys' track meet, we paid $55 for admission. The coaches and the athletes get in for free, don't they?
Only a certain amount of coaches based upon who you qualified for state, so we had to pay for one coach each day.
Okay.
So I
That's
found that
fair
out
enough.
for you, yeah.
And then on on page 17, we refunded to a lot of families money for classes that were canceled. But one of them was refunded to something called daily copy. You have any idea what, I mean, there's.
Daily what?
It says daily copy. We did a refund of $150.
I'm not
Could you-
aware of what that would be.
It's only $150, so we'll approve it, but I think somebody should check and see what that was for. It's on page 17, in between all kinds of family names of people who were refunded. And then the last question that I asked on there is, what is, maybe you know, Art, what's this Chicago Cardinals officials that we keep paying for?
The Chicago Cardinal official, we pay the scorekeeper out of our budget, but the Cardinals pay that fee.
Okay,
So that's
so-
actually coming out of
I
the
got it.
Chicago Cardinals, but it's
Okay.
for our scorekeeper.
But Tim, on that one there, like for the, when we use an outside organization, we need to break that down more, because even if Tim was an was a citizen looking at that, why are we paying for a semi-pro
Yeah,
official?
we have that broken down like that, it's just not on the bill of how it
We
is.
just need to be able to break that out. All right, any other questions?
No, see, I think once we get our policies, we wouldn't be asking these kind of questions down to the minutia.
Oh, no, I asked a lot of questions, because you look at, but as, Dan,
Yes.
I asked a lot of questions on bills, and that's what question why. All right, seeing none, Mary Ann, you want to go for the vote?
Who was the second?
Second was Mike Welch,
That's Mike.
Thank you.
not Walsh, Welch.
Ms. Ruska?
Aye.
Dr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Moon?
Aye.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Goodchin?
Yes.
Mr. Cindy?
Yes.